Shalom friends, Shalom everyone. In this Shabbat's Parashat Ekev, which is found in the 5th book of Moses, Rabbeinu, the book of Netzarim, Deuteronomy 7, verse 12, to chapter 11, verse 25. Translated therefore, consequently, Moshe Rabbeinu continues delivering to the children of Israel his final thoughts and reflections before his departure to the mountain, where the divine decree concerning his death had been sealed. On this occasion, he reaffirms that obedience to the commandments and precepts ordered by the Eternal, when followed, will bring material blessings. Also, physical health. For instance, there would be neither infertile people nor animals among them, nor diseases, but all those plagues would fall upon their enemies who seek their destruction. Once again, Moshe urges the new generation not to fear the process of conquering the land, nor to be intimidated by the armies of the Canaanites that they would soon face, because they would not go alone to the conquest. The Eternal would go with them. This is a message, friends, that truly applies for every generation. The difference between each one of us and the rest is precisely having awareness of God in your life, knowing that you are not alone. That even though the Eternal is the transcendent God who sits on his throne of glory, invisible, whom no man has seen nor can see, at the same time he is immanent, makes himself felt, sends us the energy of his company while we go about our daily lives. This is a message that runs throughout the Torah and the prophets. Do not fear, I am with you. Our Holy Master, the teacher of justice of Israel and the world, His elected Majesty Yeshua HaMashiach, constantly repeated that principle to his disciples. Do not fear. Do not fear. Have faith in God. Do not be afraid, little flock. Do not fear those who kill the body. Behold, I am with you all the days until the end of this present age. The same message from Moses, the same message from the angels, the same message from the Rabbi. Do not fear. And this is possibly the most important message you should also hear today. Do not fear. Do not fear, because the Eternal walks with you. Do not fear, for He is your healer. Do not fear, because He is your provider. Do not fear, because He is your protector. Do not fear, for He is your shadow, your right hand. Do not fear, for I am with you. To defend yourself. Just this message from our parasha would be enough to fill our souls with hope and security as we navigate this world and this time of many changes and uncertainties that tend to frighten and intimidate us. Do not fear, womb of Jacob, says the prophet. Do not fear, because the Eternal your God will uphold you. I want your soul to receive this message at this very moment. As you are hearing it, do not let it pass. Hold on to Him and embrace Him. Yes, embrace Him deep within your neshama, your spiritual soul. Do not fear. Do not fear, because He is with you. Not just with your friend, with you. Not just with your husband, with you. Not just with your wife, with you. Not just with your children, with you. Not just with your Torah teachers, with you, yes, with you. I will be with you forever. Another extraordinary message our father Sham contains is when Moshe tells the children of Israel, because man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of the Eternal. In fact, our Rabbi used this very thought in his redemption speeches. A very famous and well-known phrase by many: man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. In the case of Yeshua, he spoke about the importance of recognizing that life is not just about eating and having fun, but it contains much deeper, more encouraging elements. What the Master says: happiness in life is not in the abundance of material goods one possesses. Yeshua thus gave to the phrase of Moses an ethical value represented in the phrase of the ancient Master, content in our parasha, insisting that we do not live by bread alone, meaning material things, but that there are other values, other goods, other amounts, other rewards that cannot be measured only in terms of material values. Those other things that come out of the mouth of God, that is spiritual bread, spiritual values, are the only ones that truly satisfy a person's inner life. Well, this is on the level of Remes, on the Peshat level. However, Moses had something else in mind, and it is precisely our Holy Master, Rabbi Yeshua, who helps us find this historical meaning when Moses spoke about it. In that time, on one occasion he said, the Libyan, Moses did not give you the true bread from heaven, but my Father gives you the real bread from heaven. Well, certainly the manna in the desert fell from the sky, from the clouds, in the form of dew. But Yeshua was thinking of something else, the same thing Moses was thinking when he told them that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. To understand the literal and historical meaning of the text that occupies our Parashat today, Ekev, we must remember that Moses was telling them, before their eyes, the difficult days they lived through. Around the time of the pilgrimage through the desert, a long journey. Moses reminded them of a long journey and then added, as it is written in Devarim 8:3 in our parasha, he did this for the last 40 years with the aim of humbling and testing you, so that you could see what was truly in your hearts, whether you would keep those commandments or not. So he humbled you and let you go hungry, and then fed you with manna, which neither you nor your fathers had known, to teach you that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. In its real historical context, what Moses is describing is the suffering that the Israelites had to endure during the previous 40 years. The manna here is not presented as something positive, but quite the opposite. It was a strange food they had to eat or starve to death because there was nothing else. Moses says in that context, he humbled you and let you go hungry and fed you with manna, which neither you nor your fathers had known. In other words, what Moses is telling them is that bread is not the only food by which a person can live. A person can survive on any food that God provides. In other words, the manna was not really something otherworldly. It wasn't spiritual food. Rather, it was fast food of low quality, so bad that the Israelites themselves got tired of eating it, which would have been impossible if it had been delightful and appetizing. That manna according to Moses, was just a test meal, as the text says, to test you so that you could see for yourselves what was in your heart and whether you would be faithful to the commandments or not. Return us. When you understand the meaning of manna in its heavy historical and literal level, you also understand why Yeshua said, Moses gave us the true bread from heaven. The question we ask ourselves is, how is it that bread came to signify not only material things but also spiritual things? Interpreting manna in our parashat differently at the peshat level comes because in other parts of the Bible, manna is described much more positively as something of extreme quality. You can see it, for example, in Psalm 78 and Psalm 105 and Psalm 16. In fact, when the Jewish sages translated these texts, the Greeks interpreted it as the bread of angels. And since angels do not eat the bread that we eat, logically, angelic bread could be interpreted as spiritual food. In other words, this physical substance will transform into something spiritual once eaten, with all the exquisite flavors of the world, as the Midrash will tell us later. And this has its place. Of course it has its place, but not in a heavy historical and literal sense. It is in this context that Yeshua, starting from the heavy level of the text of our parasha, observed that Moses did not really give us the bread from heaven, that is of high quality, but it was a bread of trial. However, now the Eternal was not sending a bread of trial, nor was he giving a bread of affliction, but as a bread of redemption. And that redemption came through the provision of the Messiah, the true bread of life that had been sent from the Shemayim, from the very heart of our Heavenly Father. My friends, may the delights of this present age and the foods we can gather in our homes not prevent us from seeing that there is a superior meal, a superior delicacy that remains forever. May this concept of redemption be the best reason not to be afraid, and always carry with us the awareness of God for a prosperous, complete, and meaningful life of triumph and hope. Shabbat Shalom, friends. Shabbat Shalom.